What's going on, everyone? Yes, today is another toy review, and yes, the man that stands in front of you is Guts from the epic manga slash anime Berserk. Now, this figure here is made by ThreeZero. Now, I have had multiple different Berserks from different toy lines. This will be my very first Berserk coming from ThreeZero. Now, if anybody haven't seen Berserk, do yourself a favor, check out all the versions of Berserk, because you can put things together and kind of figure out if you don't feel like reading the book. I personally have read all of the books and own all of the books, along with watching the movies and the animated TV series and the old animated TV series. So pick whatever media you like, roll with it, and hopefully you enjoy what you watch or read. Alright, so as always, let's see what ThreeZero has to offer, and I will do comparisons between this one and the Metacom version. I won't go in full depth with the Metacom version. You can also look at my review on that and actually see everything that the Metacom version does that this one may or may not do. Alright, let's continue. So as always, let's look at a full 360 of good old Guts here. So as for detail wise, ThreeZero did a really good job when it comes to details. The only thing I've noticed that was kind of off, it could be other things that's off that I just can't remember because I'm not perfect. But the only thing I'm not gonna say well, not necessarily don't like, but it's not accurate, is his color. So if you look at his armor, it has some of like a bronze look almost. Let me catch the boots. It has like a bronze look. The blood clearly makes that tone that you see. But Guts' name is called the Black Swordsman. So his armor should technically be black, but in this case it isn't. It's actually like a dirty brown, almost like a dark color, but it's still not black. Okay, so that is one of the things I see it's not a deal breaker, of course, but it is one of the things that's not accurate dealing with the character design. Now, they could have just took a more realistic route, because you didn't really see I guess black metals like that, or that type of tone metal back in that time period, maybe. So that could have been the reason why they kind of just went with this really dark bronze look. But it does look nice. So overall, besides that little small thing, that's probably the only thing that's really off. The rest of the stuff could just either be functionality wise, or yeah, maybe just functionality wise for the most part. I will say what I was really shocked about this Berserk figure is that Guts' face looked horrible when they first announced this figure to me. Like, I really hated the way his face looked. And then when I actually got this figure in hand, I actually had a few good buddies on IG that was like, hey, you gotta wait till you see the face in person, it's much better. And I must say, like, when you do get this figure in person, it is much better. It's actually really shocking on how good they did when you actually see him in person. It actually looks like Guts. The only thing is, even when you see in photographs, and you might feel this way looking at this video right now, is that Guts look like he's waiting in a fucking elevator. Like, he has a really bland look on his face. It doesn't really look all that great when you're looking at either through a camera or through pictures. But when you get it in person, it looks really nice. Really nice. So, speaking of his head, one of the very first accessories that you will get amongst many, you will get an angry face, which honestly looks really good in person. Again, it doesn't look that great on pictures sometimes, but when you actually see it in person, it looks really nice. ThreeZero did a really good job. Really good job. Nice details. And changing the heads out are very easy. You don't have to fight with it. You don't got to worry about breaking no pegs. You can pop it off and keep it going. So that's one of the accessories there. you're going to receive a total of 5 hands. Actually, sorry, you're going to receive a total of 4 hands, and they're all for the right arm. So right now, just to kind of give you an idea, you get the relaxed hand, right? And then you're going to get a balled fist hand. One thing I do love about ThreeZero and like 3A stuff, I love the fact they weather their figures. They don't look all pristine and clean. They actually look like they've been through hell. I really, really love that touch. It looks really, really nicely done. It's like the little blood droplets on his fingers. So you get the ball fist. You're going to get his sword wielding hand. And this is like a real cloth, which is glued down. So be careful because this can get unraveled. I already had one part kind of like seemed like it tried to come loose because it was so tattered. It still looks great, but yeah, you don't want to ruin that. So you do have real fabric going on in the hands. Once again, the hands is nicely beat up and dirty looking. The cloth is old, blood on there, really nicely done. So that's for the sword hand. And then you get the weapon holding his repeating bow for his arm, his left arm. And his hand is nice, really dirty, bloody. See a little hole there that lets you know you can actually put that onto the crossbow. Or the repeating bow, rather. Alright, so you're going to get that. You're going to get a fully assembled hand. Not fully assembled hand. You'll get a fully assembled crossbow for his hand. So that's the part his hand goes through there. That clips onto the forearm. And then you see the actual thing open as if arrows was in there. And it's nicely done. Really nicely done. The lever here is actually functional. So it can turn. So I would say be really careful on that. You don't want to make a mistake and break it. Because I can tell you right now, just feeling it, it is delicate. It feels like a very delicate piece of plastic. So you definitely want to be careful with that. But the paint job looks amazing. Let me focus for y'all real quick. Nice wood grain look. Nice beat up looking metal. They did a really, really nice job on these accessories. And that is like, I guess some fabric here to create the torque on the bow. So it's really nice. Alright, so you got that. You're going to get one that is disassembled and it's meant for his pouch that goes in the back. Now it does come with pieces and you have to put it together. I didn't bother putting it together because I'll never use it, to be honest with you. And he's not displayed out, so I just didn't take it out the bag. I just left it in the baggie. But it consists of 4 pieces. And what you do is you put the pieces on there and it actually gives off the look as if the bow was in a resting position. So you don't have to worry about having it, you know, extended out. You notice the actual part where he puts his arrows at is collapsed down. This is meant for his back. So I'll turn him around real quick to kind of show you where it goes. It does have some styrofoam in there. That's what it comes with. And I haven't removed it just due to the fact, like I said, I wasn't using it. So right there, that's the styrofoam. You put it together, you slide it in there, and it's a storing spot for his crossbow. So that is really nice. And you're going to get his cape, which I won't put on him right now. I'm just going to show you how the cape works, and then I'll put it on at the end so you can see how everything looks. But you get his standard black cape. Nothing special. That's the only insignia on the entire cape. The cape is nicely weathered. Look like a few monsters probably wiped their ass on his cape. Got some dirty marks here and there, but it looks great. It looks really good. Look like he's been falling in mud, like he's been getting rained on. The whole 9 yards. Everything looks really, really nicely beat up. And I like if you open it, it's so tattered, he even have little holes throughout it. Really, really nicely done. ThreeZero did an amazing job. Paint job looks great on the cape. Cape look nice and beat up. Now what's cool about this cape, I kind of wish It is. This is the downside and the upside about this cape. So the upside about this cape, let me go ahead and come up real quick and I'll focus from a distance so y'all can see. His cape has several wires in it. It has 1, 2, 3, and 4. 4 wires. And they're strong wires. So you can get a full flexibility out of this cape. Now, showing you the Metacom version, because I do have Metacom Guts down here with me. I'll show that to you in one sec. This is Metacom version of the cape. Now, their wires are really flimsy. Doesn't really hold a pose well. It does work, but nowhere near as good as the ThreeZero cape. The ThreeZero cape just looks more beat up, more worn. Let me see if I can focus for y'all. Yeah, it looks way more worn, more realistic, where this one is kind of just bland. The thing about this is where you get your 50-50. Better wiring in here, better way that it mounts on the body. But downside, this one bleeds onto the toy, like the actual color in the cape, the dye bleeds onto the toy, where I haven't had that problem with this. So that is your trade-off. This one mount sucks. I don't like it, just being honest. The fact that it uses a little hook, I'll zoom up on it. Well, not zoom, but focus for you all so you can see. It has a little hook right there, and it hooks on that piece of fabric that you see right there. It doesn't look great. It's kind of a hassle trying to actually get it in that right position, but because the wiring is so strong, you can get it, but you just want to be careful not to snag or damage that actual piece of cloth that it clips onto, because that would be terrible. So that is the trade-off that you're getting between the Metacom and the ThreeZero cape. Now, as for the one and only Dragon Slayer, so this sword is pretty huge. Let me go ahead and focus real quick. So that's how high it goes, all the way to the ground. Pretty massive. Now, what I do like about this sword, so some people are going to say, oh, that's amazing, I don't know what you're talking about. But I'm going to be honest, the paint job on the blood, I'm going to be honest with you, it could have been much better. The reason I say that is because if you look out throughout the sword, right, all of the blood stains, literally like, they're parallel one another. Like, it's like streak here, streak there, streak here, streak there, streak here, streak there. Like, you see it throughout the whole sword. It doesn't look random, and it doesn't look realistic, because, one, if you have that much blood on here, it should be a whole lot more blood on one side, or some type of impact side where the blood is hitting. And then you might see like the residue on the side that he's not hitting the monsters with, or have less blood versus one side, just because. But the paint job is nice because the Metacom one don't even have blood. The Metacom is actually pretty bland. Height-wise, that's the difference between the Metacom. So Metacom sword is much smaller in height and in the hilt itself. And the hilt on the 301 looks way more accurate to the manga and anime versus the Metacom one. So I did just notice that. So shout out to them for even keeping that good detail. Even looking on this side, I'm noticing as well. Go ahead and pair up. That looks kind of lazy. This definitely nails more of the manga. So they did a really good job. Now, granted, this could have changed due to the storytelling. Over time, he could have added more details. I can't really say because it's been a minute since I've seen the books. I do have them, but I didn't go looking through them trying to find every little nick and cranny. But I do say this looks a lot much better. The ring even looks better versus this ring. Now, one thing that Metacom did do right, where ThreeZero didn't do wrong, but you can definitely mess something up if you're not careful. So his hilt is clearly smaller because it's meant for the Metacom one versus the ThreeZero. The ThreeZero hands are a lot larger. There's a lot larger figure, which I will do a height comparison between the two. The thing is, this has real fabric throughout the whole thing. This is clearly plastic, and that's just a movable piece of plastic. The hilt comes off, so you can slide the hand on, right? This one, there is no removal of the hilt or the part that's on the bottom of the hilt. You just have to put the hand on there. Now, the scary part about that, you don't want fabric rubbing against fabric because it can tear it up. So you got to be really, really careful on putting that hand on there. They should have even gave you the ability to remove this so you can slide the hand on. Maybe they thought about the same problem because you're rubbing fabric going up the actual handle of the sword. Could have messed it up. So I don't know. Maybe that could be the reason, but it's just a lot easier getting the sword in the hand with this versus this. But it is what it is. They did make a really, really long cloth left over. You can easily wrap that around and get it to the length of that, because on his sword is a lot more short versus this long piece sticking out. So that is the differences between those two. Now let me show you height comparison, and then I'll go into articulation. So the height comparison between the two, so you can actually see it side by side. What's funny, because I never did this until right now, so I'm seeing it right along with y'all, actually, because in my head I was pretty sure that this Guts was taller. And what's funny right now, looking at it, Metacom Guts is actually a smidget, and I do mean a smidget, not by much. Let me put them back to back. That make more sense. Yeah, and ThreeZero Guts feet, for some odd reason, is a pain in the ass to stand up sometime. Well, maybe I was wrong. Okay, so they're the same size. Yeah, I'm tripping. So they're the exact same size. Looking at them. So you're getting the same size, but you're getting the larger sword on the ThreeZero, where you're getting a smaller sword on the Metacom. The armor, of course, was going to automatically knock Metacom out of the park when it comes to armor details and design and so forth. But if you notice with the Metacom version, his armor is black, as if it is shown in the book or considered being described in the book, is actually black armor. See that? This armor is black. This armor is more, like I said, of a bronze, but it's not black though. Now, going into articulation, I'm going to show you all the articulation of the ThreeZero version, and then I'll tell you exactly what I find to be great or not so great between the two. So let's jump into the articulation real fast. Now, on this, you have a ball joint head. Let me focus real quick. Ball joint head. You tilt about that much. Up, head came off. See how easy it is to remove? It's not going to fall off, of course, but it is easy to remove, so that's a good thing. But ball joint head, you go about that far down, this far up. I can tell you right now, I think, I could be wrong, he may have a little bit more range over the Metacom. I'm going to look on off camera and see. Yeah, he does. He definitely has more range he has more range than the Metacom. So Metacom don't get that much range dealing with the head joint. What's nice about this versus the Metacom, though, I will give it this much. The Metacom, also, their neck is really, really tough rubber. Metacom biggest problem with rubber on figures, it has a tendency to rub off. They didn't take the rubber route. I remember in one of the descriptions on ThreeZero Facebook. So if you don't have ThreeZero Facebook, you might want to check it out, because they always keep it updated a whole lot more than IG. If you only see their stuff on IG, they actually went with PVC, soft PVC versus rubber. So he don't have that crappy material that Metacom is using. Metacom uses this like shitty rubber that the actual shading rubs off. It tears up the whole nine. This actually works a lot better. If I pull this off, you can see the rubber moving, or the PVC moving. So this is really nicely made. It doesn't look tacky. It's definitely posable. You can move it around. You don't got nothing to worry about. I really, really like that. They did a really good job on that. Now, as for articulation going down to the arms, now this is cool. Now, this is one thing you got to be careful. Now, this is the part also as well. I know I'm jumping all over the place, but this is the part as well that they did something cool, but it's a 50-50 trade-off. So if you notice right here, he has these buckles, right? So the buckles is not attached. They're just, you know, giving the look as if they were. All right. The thing is, this is just automatically just glued on there. Nothing different, just glued. It's not sculpted on there, just glued on there. I actually had this come off on me about 4 times due to the fact when you move the arm, right, because you get a nice amount of range. You actually get more range on the ThreeZero version than the Metacom version. He has ratchet joints or some type of ratchet joint in the arm socket, which I think is freaking sweet. So he get really nice range on his arm going outwards, right? You have to be careful on clearing this arm piece, because what happened, it'll rub directly up against this and it'll knock that off. So I almost lost it actually due to that fact. So want to be careful with that. As for going all the way around, you get the full 360 spin if you want. There's nothing hindering you from doing that. So I think that's really great. Another thing that's really nice, let me see if I can come down a bit. If you notice, you can see the PVC, soft PVC right there on the arm. So it's like one big ass sleeve, but they separated it from the body so it wouldn't hinder the movement. So I think that's freaking awesome. They did really good thought process on that. Now, one thing that I don't like, that I wish they either found a better way or just went with the Metacom way. This is real fabric or some type of fake leather going around the bicep. The problem is I had the original old school Art of War Berserk, and I'm gonna tell you right now, those fucking straps will tear on you. So you definitely, if you do toy photography like I do, just be super, super careful on moving it around, because you do not want that to rip, especially looking at how these are made on it. The old school actually was tucked under the armor, so even if it tore, you can kind of like, you know, you have more space to work with, or you can fasten it. This one, it is no fastening, so if it tears, you're just fucked, unless you know how to do some major tailoring. So you want to be careful with that. Now, going out to the arm, what's unique is that it's going to be hard to kind of show you. This seems to be kind of loose, but it's not damaged or broken or anything. It's made just like any standard 1/6 scale body. When you got you can go up and down on the shoulder, you can do the tilt back and forward, things of that nature. So that becomes kind of loose. Mine was loose kind of in the box, but it wasn't no big deal. It wasn't no deal breaker. It didn't hurt me. It just, you know, it is what it is. What I was trying to say is that you can do a rotation at the bicep under this PVC rubber. It's kind of hard for me to do it on camera because I got to reach around